Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Corner. Welcome to Art Regner's video blog for FoxSportsDetroit.com. And after tonight's debacle at Joe Louis Arena, we're certainly going to talk about the Detroit Red Wings, who lost to the Columbus Blue Jackets when Vinny Prospal scored a goal with about 25 seconds left in the game. Columbus actually scored two third-period goals to defeat the Detroit Red Wings by a score of 3-2. The Red Wings had a 2-1 lead going into the third period. It's the second straight game in Detroit that the Blue Jackets have defeated the Detroit Red Wings. And if I get any type of questions at all, and I get a lot of sports questions no matter where I'm at, they're always asking me what's wrong with the Detroit Red Wings. And let's be really kind of blunt here. They're not that good a hockey club. They're just not. They're going through a transitional period right now. Obviously, when Nick left, that really kind of tore up the blue line. You can't lose a half of your blue line in Brad Stewart, Brian Rafalski, and Nicholas Lidstrom in a 2-year period and expect to be all that great. Defense is a problem. Their special teams are horrible, and they're not scoring goals. They're just not. And goal scoring has been a problem for a while. And I think what it really comes down to is the fact is that finally all the years where the Red Wings were not drafting very high but finding and plucking diamonds in the rough, those days are gone. In a salary cap world, too, that's kind of changed the playing field, but the Red Wings are an organization that usually could adapt to that, and because they were so good, they were still an attractive destination for free agents. But the way I like to kind of explain it to people, and there's a lot of factors, but let's look at it this way. When the Red Wings were really, really, really good, the top team in the entire world, their two top centers were Steve Yzerman and Sergei Fedorov, both draft picks by the Detroit Red Wings. Now, obviously, Yzerman, first round, 4th overall pick in '83. Fedorov was a 4th round pick, 74th overall in '89. He would have been a first round pick if people would have known that he had an inkling to defect and that the Soviet Union was about to crumble. But so they might have lucked out on Sergei, thinking that they would never get him as young as they got him. But arguably, maybe not even arguably, those two guys played together in Detroit, Fedorov and Yzerman, for 13 seasons. They were two of the top 6 centers in the entire world. That is one of the reasons you can really build a foundation. You can attract players to come here, and other astute drafting. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to diss Nick or Vladdy or any of the defensive core, but I'm telling you right now, up the middle, their top 2 guys were Yzerman and Fedorov. Now let's go to when Yzerman and Fedorov were gone, the torch beam passed. Well, that's to Zetterberg and Datsyuk. Now they're kind of close in age, but they were 7th and 6th round draft picks. And the Red Wings were still a championship level team, competed one of the elite level teams. And they were drafted in the 6th and 7th round, those diamonds in the rough. Now if we look at this team, even though Datsyuk and Zetterberg are still in their prime, let's say Datsyuk goes to Russia next year and Zetterberg is getting older and older, although he will be, I think, a pretty top player. He's shown a lot this season, the captain has. But where is the torch going to be passed? And I'm only going by Red Wing draft picks because the free agent market is a different animal now. It's to Valtteri Filppula and Darren Helm. That's right. Filppula, 3rd round pick. Helm, a 5th round pick. Those will be someday, if it continues like this, the Red Wings' top 2 centers. And I have nothing against either one of them, but let's face it, that's a drop-off in talent. Yzerman, Fedorov, Hall of Famers. Datsyuk, Zetterberg, borderline Hall of Fame. Datsyuk for sure. He might even get in. Zetterberg, maybe borderline. Filppula and Helm, no freaking way. That is what's happening to the Detroit Red Wings. Their talent level is eroding because their star players have retired. Father Time has caught up with them. They haven't drafted high. They haven't drafted really a proven goal scorer. They find very good players that are intelligent and can play a system and give it everything that they have. They're just not as good. When you go from Yzerman, Fedorov, and now we're talking 20 years here, in all honesty, let's be fair, to Filppula and Helm someday as your top 2 centers, That's why the Red Wings are struggling. It's pretty simple. It really is. And this season, I don't expect them to make the playoffs. And I'm not trying to be completely hard on them or anything like that, but I don't expect them to make the playoffs because it is such a transitional year. They do have injuries. They had a 5-day training camp, and there's no cohesion on this team. Guys get dropped like flies, then defensive pairings change during the course of the game, line combinations change. Heck, they haven't played that much with guys that they're supposed to play because everyone's hurt. How do you expect them to adapt on the fly, whether they're professionals? I mean, this is going to be a very bad season for the Detroit Red Wings unless they get healthy really quick and they flip the switch. I, unfortunately, don't see that happening. I would love to see it happen, I think that they have some very good players who play very hard. Datsuk, Zetterberg, I think Helm, and actually overall, I think the effort's there, and that's why I don't think you see Mike Babcock freaking out because the effort's there. It's a lack of talent. It's pretty pure and simple. In the road now. 2 trips to Western Canada, 2 trips to the West Coast of the United States, plus a trip to Phoenix and Colorado. And they're horrible on the road. They still haven't scored a power play goal on the road. I don't think. Maybe they did in Nashville the other night, but I'm not sure. I can't recall. But I don't think they did. And so, I mean, it's just, I think it goes back now to the 30s, a team that has been this bad on the power play on the road for the Red Wings. So, overall, what has happened is that the lack of drafting high, which is a good thing because they've been such a good team, has finally caught up to the Red Wings. They're going to be in a rebuilding mode. It'll be interesting to see what happens this offseason. Ken Holland always says that, he knew eventually they would rebuild. He didn't want to fall all the way down to the bottom of the standings, somewhere in the middle. And that's kind of where the Red Wings are at right now. I guess it's conceivable they could make the playoffs. I'm not that, I don't think so. I really don't. But maybe they will. They've surprised us before, and if they can get hot in this compressed schedule, it doesn't really take a real long winning streak to suddenly catapult yourself back into contention for the playoffs. And once you get in, really anything could happen, and depending if they're playing well, I guess it's conceivable. It's highly unlikely. So there you have it. That's my take on the Red Wings, really what's going on right now. It's just that it's time to remember the good days, look forward to better days, and tolerate these days as the Red Wings try to find themselves as a hockey club. That'll do it for this edition of Art Regner's video blog for FoxSportsDetroit.com. Have a safe and pleasant day, morning, or evening, everyone. We'll see you real soon. Bye.